Hi, this is your lesson for Nazi Propaganda Part 1 relating to the project. I hope you've read the project description that I've listed in the document below and are now moving on to Lesson 3.1, the start of the unit. So, the first topic we're going to be covering is the Nazi propaganda. I've cited the sources that I've taken the information from. So, for the propaganda, deceiving the public. The Nazis frequently used propaganda to disguise their political aims and deceive the German and international public. They depicted Germany as the victim of Allied and Jewish aggression to hide their true ideological goals and to justify war and violence against civilians. Remember, this assignment that you're doing is going to be completed on nearpod, and after this slide, there is a question. Remember, this is just if you have any questions about the slides or don't understand it. What's happening now is the Nazis are using lies to disguise what they truly want politically. And they're trying to deceive the world. And they depict Germany as a victim, someone who is falling flat to Allied and Jewish aggression, to hide what they truly want, ideological goals, and to justify the reason that war and violence can be used against people who are genuinely innocent. So, the intro. Propaganda was an important tool to win over the majority of the German public who had not supported Adolf Hitler. Now, it's very important that this is Hitler and not any other member of Hitler's cabinet, because propaganda was used especially for people to win over the German public who didn't support Hitler. It served to push forward the Nazis' radical program, which required the acquiescence, support, or participation of broad sectors of the population. If you don't know what acquiescence means, it's not that big of a deal. I don't even know what it means. You can just read about support or participation of the broad sectors in the population. Remember, a really important thing is that propaganda was an important tool to win over the majority of the German public who had not supported Adolf Hitler, as opposed to the majority who had supported Adolf Hitler, as the elections when the Nazi Party won were very close. So, combined with the terror to intimidate those who did not comply, a new state propaganda apparatus headed by Joseph Goebbels managed and deceived the German population and the outside world. Propagandists preached an appeasing message of national unity with a utopian future that resonated with millions of Germans. They also waged campaigns that facilitated the persecution of Jews and others excluded from the Nazis' vision of national community. Just like everything that happened with the Nazis, this is a fake and lie. Joseph Goebbels is one of the most skillful propagandists. He actually, this is a side story, met Hitler and is devoted to Hitler. So, propagandists made an appealing message, and they wedged persecution in this national community. Joseph Goebbels is a very, very important person in the Nazi regime. Propaganda, foreign policy, and conspiring to wage war. Rearmament was a key element of the German national policy. Rearmament, very important vocabulary to remember. After the Nazi takeover in early 1933, as it was under the democratic Weimar government, German leaders hoped to achieve this goal without causing preventive military intervention by France, Great Britain, or the states on Germany's eastern borders, Poland and Czechoslovakia. The regime also did not want to frighten a German population anxious about another European war. The specter of World War I and the deaths of 2 million German soldiers in that conflict still haunted popular memory. Throughout the 1930s, Hitler portrayed Germans as a victimized nation, held in bondage by the chain of the post-World War Versailles Treaty, and denied the right of national self-determination. This is a propaganda image. Frankfurt, Wild Geitland. Wartime propagandists universally justify the use of military violence by portraying it as morally defensible and necessary. To do otherwise would jeopardize public morale and faith in the government and its armed forces. Throughout World War I, Nazi propagandists disguised military aggression and aimed at a territorial conquest as righteous and necessary acts of self-defense. Because Germany is a potential victim of foreign aggressors, as a peace-loving nation which forced to take up arms to protect its populace or defend European civilization against communism. This is a very important point, and Nazi propagandists, remember, it disguised military aggression, which is a very important thing because it's like this specific type of aggression. Make sure you do all the questions on nearpod and read it. So, for the documents here, what will happen is you have to click on the link in Google Classroom, but there will not be any questions about it. The links need to be read. However, you could do them at a later time. This is the first lesson in a very important project we are doing. Thank you so much for tuning in.